In this video, I list the pros and cons of using a tarp vs tent for camping. I'll also outline the different types of tarps available, including materials, shape, and size. Finally, I'll show a few of the most popular tarp pitches. Hopefully, this video helps you decide which shelter option is best for your next camping trip. In its simplest form, a camping tarp is simply a rectangular piece of waterproof fabric. You hang the tarp above your body with a series of ropes, poles, and stakes. Tarps don't include a floor, bug netting, or walls. The purpose of the tarp is for protection from wind and rain while you sleep. There are dozens of ways to pitch a camping tarp in order to achieve this. Camping tarps range in size from 5x7 for an individual all the way up to 12x16 for multiple people. Tarps weigh less. The lightest tarps weigh under 5 ounces, around 140 grams. They are made of a durable, lightweight material called Cuban fiber or Dyneema. Another popular tarp material is Coleman, which weighs a few ounces more. Even bulky, low-cost tarp only weighs around a pound. Tarps offer a more modular sleep system, in my opinion. This is the biggest benefit to tarp camping. You can easily adjust your setup to fit the conditions of the region where you plan to camp. Tarps pack down very small because they don't have a floor, bug netting, or zippers. Tarps take up very little volume in your backpack. An ultralight tarp packs down smaller than an apple. Even a large tarp takes up less than a liter of space. My ultralight tent takes up twice as much volume as my. Tarps are cheaper than tents if you're on a tight budget. You can go down to the local hardware store and buy a cheap utility tarp, some string, and a few stakes, and have yourself a lightweight, waterproof camping setup for less than $20. Tarps are more durable than tents. You don't have to worry about zippers catching or poles breaking. There is no floor that you can wear a hole through. The worst thing that can happen to your tarp is a tear, which you can repair with patches and a sewing kit. Tarps take longer to set up than tents. Every time you set up your tarp, you must adapt to the surroundings. The ideal tarp pitch depends on the terrain of your campsite and the weather. For example, maybe on night 1, it rains and you set up under a series of trees. Tarps aren't freestanding. This is one of the biggest drawbacks to me. You need something to tie your tarp to. It could be a trekking pole or trees. You also need to camp on the ground where you can put stakes into the ground. This means you can't set up your tarp in the middle of a concrete parking lot or wooden patio. There is a learning curve to setting up a tarp. There are dozens of pitch options to choose from. Each one takes a bit of time to learn. You also need to learn a few knots and how to choose the best campsite. You may want to practice setting up your tarp in your backyard or a park before going camping. A tarp camping setup can weigh as much as a tent when you factor in the added weight of a bivy sack or bug net, as well as stakes, rope, and a trekking pole. Your total shelter weight be comparable to an ultralight tent. Tents are quick to set up. Most tents pitch in less than 2 minutes. This comes in particularly handy during a rainstorm. You can set up camp and be out of the rain in a matter of minutes. Tarps, on the other hand, take a bit more time. You don't need anything to mount your tent. Many tents are completely freestanding. Trees or trekking poles to tie guy lines to are not required. You don't even need soft ground to pound stakes into. You could set up camp in the middle of a concrete parking lot if you wanted. Tents keep you warmer even though the walls are thin. Tents offer some insulation. The enclosed space traps some heat to keep you warmer on cold nights. Tarps, being open air, don't hold any heat. This means that you can get away with a slightly lighter sleeping bag when camping with a tent and stay just as warm. Tents offer more privacy. You have your own little room away from people. Inside your tent, you can change your clothes, organize your gear, clean yourself, and just get away from people for a while. This is one of the reasons that I always pack a tent when I travel internationally. Tents offer better protection from the rain. Being completely sealed, tents are better at keeping you dry than tarps. Because tarps are always partially open, rain can blow in and soak the floor, which eventually gets you wet. Tents are heavier than tarps. An average tent weighs 3.5 pounds. An ultralight tent weighs around 2 pounds. This is still about twice as heavy as the heaviest of tarps. Tents require poles and use a lot more material, which adds to the weight. Tents take up more space in your pack because tents have so much more material, as well as zippers and long poles. They can't pack down nearly as small. Even an ultralight tent takes up over 5 liters of space in your pack. Tents cost more. Decent tents start around $200. Lower cost options are available, but they are either heavy and bulky or low quality. You can buy a nice tarp for less than $50. Tents are fragile. Tents have zippers and poles which can break. They have floors which can get holes if you don't use a ground sheet. Tarps are much more durable. Tents offer poor visibility while sitting inside your tent. You can't really see anything other than what is directly outside of your door. This is annoying when you want to look at the stars or enjoy a scenic campsite. It can also be dangerous. Thank you everyone for watching us till the end. It would be a great pleasure for us if you are a little help with this video. Comment us below.